So the number one reason why you're not winning, we're going to discuss that today on With Winning in Mind. I'm your host, Troy Bassham, along with Lanny, the legend of mental management systems. And we're going to talk about the number one reason why you're not winning. And that is basically two parts of the same coin, but they're opposite sides, overthinking and overtrying. And that's probably something that you might be doing right now in your competition. And if you didn't overtry or you didn't overthink, you might find yourself on the podium, which is a great place to be, by the way, because then you're going home with that nice jewelry, that
That's
medal
right.
or that trophy, or in some cases in sports, you get a nice check at the end.
Yeah.
That's why I like golf. They give you this nice check at the end.
Yeah.
But in many cases, a lot of people are going home empty-handed, and they're like, why didn't I perform my best? And you say that there's probably one reason. It's kind of two-part thing. So explain to us what you mean by this overthinking or overtrying.
We've spent quite a bit of time on this channel talking about overtrying, and overtrying is and overthinking are the opposite sides of the same coin. They have the same effect on keeping a person from winning, but they do it in different ways. Now, overtrying is when you give something more effort than is required, or you give something less effort, or you don't give the optimum amount of mental effort to execute the task. That's what overtrying is. Overthinking is a little bit different. Overthinking is anything that's not needed that gets into your mental process that causes it to be complicated or creates doubt. Overthinking is not talked about much, but is very destructive. So we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, do you think it's a common thing that most athletes overthink?
Well, I think that it's more common in my veteran clients, and here's why. When you first start a sport, you're kind of in the on the ground floor in the knowledge area. You know, you don't know much, so you don't have much to overthink because you don't know much. So what do? You start getting information as much as you can, and you're underinformed, so you start getting more information. And sometimes the information that you get is really good information. Sometimes it's not good information. A way to keep that from happening, by the way, is to go to a trusted coach and take a lesson. That can save you tons of time. And whether it's mental or technical or whatever it is, you're best off in the beginning to seek competent training advice. But what happens is that you go. There's three kinds of people. There's the underinformed, the informed, and the overinformed. And the informed, you learn the basics, and you begin to understand that I have developed a primary way to think, and then you start duplicating that, and that's what the informed does. But it's possible for you to become overinformed, and the way that happens is that you go to more than one coach. So you go to multiple coaches, and sometimes they don't always agree. So now that you've got more than one way to do it, maybe you've got 2 or 3 different ways to do it, and so now that creates doubt in a tournament. You know, well, what do I use, option A or option B or option C, or maybe I saw this new option, let me try that out. And so there's no consistency. That's overthinking. Overthinking is when you add something to your mental process that's not necessary, making it more complicated to execute. And veterans tend to do that. It tends to become a disease that veterans have to deal with it. Now, I'm not against somebody learning more, but I think I am against you having more than one way more than one solution for exactly the same problem. Now that you've created a problem of you've created a potential doubt moment where when I'm doubting that the one that I chose was correct. And so have a primary way of doing everything and stick to it and duplicate it. That's what consistency is all about.
Yeah, I look at people who are real intelligent and, as far as sport IQ, they got a very good understanding of their sport. In many cases, working with the younger athletes, they're ahead of their age group. You take a 12-year-old, but they think like a 16, 17-year-old. And it's like, wow, they're processing this information, and so they know a lot about the sport. But that doesn't mean they technically can do what they know they should do. And I think that hurts. It's almost like the more I know about my sport leads me to overthinking. The smarter you are, the more potential you are to overthink, because what do intelligent people like to do? Think. So if I got too much based on where my skill set, I might wind up making a poor choice because I'm overthinking the things I need to do. The other side of the coin, the overtrying, I've always looked at it this way. If you're super competitive, overtrying is going to be easier for you to do than if you're not as competitive. I mean, we don't work with anyone that's not competitive. People who are competitive are going to try to seek an advantage over their opponents to win because they want to win. But if you're the type of person that hates to lose more than you love to win, I think that you're in a position to overtry. That's always thought about. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that that everybody is looking for an edge, and sometimes I think that there's only 2 or 3 ways to get better. One is you find something that works better than what you're currently using, and you upgrade to it. I'm not against that.
The key word is it has to be better.
It has to be better, and you have to carefully test that, so that once you choose this, you have to discard your old method and stay with that new method till you master it. And I think that people are constantly trying a new method every week, and they never master anything, and that's a fault. The second way is to find something that works and make it work for more often. Make it work for a long time. The longer it works, the more you can trust it. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to trust. And the third way is to just make fewer mistakes. I mean, it's just you just start eliminating your mistakes over time. But those are the ways that you get better. I think that people, what you need to realize what you're really working for. You're working to trust what you have mastered. The 3 keys to consistency are: carefully choose your primary, master what you've chosen so you can trust what you've mastered. You go into a tournament and you don't worry about your shotgun going to the right spot and pulling the trigger at the right time. You don't have to worry about that. Or if you're a rifle shooter or an archer, the shot's gonna go off the right way every time. You can trust it. Well, when you're trying, you're not trusting. And I think that until you get to that point, overtrying can be a burden. Overthinking and overtrying are both the things that keep you from getting there.
Yeah, and sometimes overthinking leads to overtrying. You start getting ahead of yourself, then you start putting more effort into it than you need to do it. But how do you just not overtry? That's a common question I've heard ever since I've seen you working with. I mean, oh gosh, I was 10 when you started the international shooting school.
Yeah.
So, been around you for a long time in the coaching aspect of it, and a lot of people says, "Well, how long is it going to take for me to get? How long is it going to take to master?" Once they start making progress, all of a sudden they shift to where they're trying too hard, and you said, "Well, you got to stop trying so hard. You have to trust." They struggle to get to trust. It's interesting because a lot of them would trust in practice, but they wouldn't trust in competition. And is that because they truly haven't mastered what they've chosen?
Well, I think that the secret to over trying, what first of all, it's a fallacy to try not to do something. In other words, how do you not try? How do you not over try? I don't know. I don't know anybody that does know how you not over try. But I will give you a solution to over trying. Is you got to change what you change what you care about. Instead of caring about trying to eliminate a problem, you care about the solution to the problem. Well, what's the solution to the problem? Well, the solution to the problem is to stop caring about outcome and start caring about execution, and that give yourself something to care about other than the thing that you're trying not to care about. In other words, what is the solution to this particular issue? And the way I beat over trying is I stopped caring about where the bullet went, and I started caring about how I got it there.
When did you realize this? Because you're hitting two tails. We're shifting to you with your experience, because in your first Olympic Games, quite different than the second Olympic Games.
Oh, yeah.
And you cared a lot about making the Olympics. You cared a lot about winning the Olympics. It didn't happen. The second time, you still cared about winning. You still wanted the Olympic gold medal, but when you were in that Olympic Games, you weren't focused on winning the Olympic gold medal. You were focusing on something else. That's what you're suggesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and I can tell you exactly when, and we've talked about this before, but I can tell you exactly when I made the transition, when I learned how to beat over trying. Was in the spring of 1974. I had a 2-day tournament, and I decided that I was going to care more about my process, running my mental process, than where the bullet went. And I wasn't trying to win that tournament. I wasn't trying to beat my teammates. I was just trying to execute my mental process as good as I possibly could. I was grading my mental process, not grading where the bullet went. So I changed what I cared about, and the result of that was I shot a national record that day that lasted for 14 years. And so I decided, well, that worked, so I'm going to continue to do that. And so that's the way I shot for the rest of my career. And it was proven to work. I had no problem with over trying because I wasn't trying to win the tournament while I was shooting. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't care about winning. I thought about winning when I was goal setting. I thought about winning in training, but I did not think about winning while I was actually in the process of pulling the trigger, of executing, and especially in tournaments. I made it a priority to not think about winning, because winning is a distraction. Winning is also a variable, and score is a distraction, and score is a variable, but a mental process is a constant. So I just thought about my mental process. I want to get better and better at executing that mental process. And it really didn't matter whether I shot a good shot or a bad shot. If I executed the process correctly, the probability that I had a good shot was increased, and I could eliminate the probability of having a bad shot.
So that's what you mean by carefully choose your primary. You're thinking about, this is the primary way I'm going to think, and the primary way I'm going to technically execute this task. Those two things combined are more important than whatever the result is.
That's right. And when the result is more important than those things, then you'll never have mental consistency.
So in order to win, you have to have mental consistency.
Well, it's a lot easier to win. I'll tell you that. You got some people that are winning without doing what I'm saying, but it's harder for them. And why make it hard?
Well, everyone that's dominating, there's there's one or two things separate them from everyone else. Either one, they've got talent for their sport, but they outwork everybody. Along with that talent, you're very difficult to beat. Number two is they might not be as talented, but they got enough to where they're really passionate about what they do. They develop the skill level, they master the skill level, but they do what you're saying. They incorporate a mental component that's consistent, and they make execution the thing that's most important. And then whatever happens result-wise is a byproduct of how well I executed those two things. What I physically and mentally did, whatever happens, the result's going to be an example of how well I did those two things. And more often than not, they're coming home with the medals.
Yeah, it's simple to explain. It's not necessarily easy to do. I've never really said that it is easy to do. People always ask me the same question. They say, well, how long will it take me to be able to do this? And
yeah, it's with winning in mind. Not winning is easy.
Yeah, it's going to require a complicated way to do something. First of all, you're going to have to come up with a mental process that yields technical consistency. Okay, that's the first thing. You're going to have a mental process that focuses on the three mental processes: conscious, subconscious, self-image. It controls what you think about. It doesn't inhibit what you're technically doing, which is more subconscious than conscious, and it imprints properly your self-image, when you can create a mental process that does those things and a training method that improves all three of those things, you're hard to beat.
Yeah, and if you want to know more about this, you can check out your brand new website you got, With Winning in Mind. Is it out?
with Winning in Mind. Go to With Winning in Mind, and there's something free for you there. If you go to With Winning in Mind, I have a special report of exactly the process that I use to win my titles. So it's all laid out for you, and it's free. It's on withwinninginmind.com.
So check out that website, and if you have any other subjects that you'd like for us to tackle, please let us know. You can email us at info@mentalmanagement.com. If you haven't subscribed or want to do that, we appreciate that. And if you like this content, give us a thumbs up, share it, and until next time, take care.